All right, let's kick
All right.
off
Yeah, we'll do
today's
things a
SaaS.
little differently, Michelle and team. So big news today. Chip, by the way, if you didn't know, your position's changed, and there's been a lot of changes since you got on the call. So
Yeah, exactly. Chip, you
okay.
didn't read your email. You didn't read your email, I guess.
I just was reading email, so whatever you're referring to, I definitely didn't see.
Yeah, now Corey, take the floor. Congratulations again. Talk to us what's going on.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So, news has been going around. So, as of yesterday afternoon, we are now a SonicWall company. So, we are starting up their first and only managed services division. Obviously, the biggest concern, because everybody's seen acquisitions and has concerns about acquisitions and how those go. I think this is what is the best alignment for us and for them as well. It's maintaining that services division, maintaining that exact same culture. And, it's funny when, I came on board with Solutions Granted 8.5 to 9 years ago, jokingly when I talked to Michael, like in year 3, he's like, oh, I have no plans on, being acquired, but if it ever happens, it might be SonicWall. Because as you know, Solutions Granted has been with the SonicWall offering for many, many years. I don't have the specifics on that, but as you know, that's really how we started in the MSSP game, is around SonicWall. And so everything, like I said, everything aligned very well, and now we plan on, providing services underneath their brand. Now we are going to be expanding to, across the ocean. We're going to be adding more offerings as well. So really excited and looking forward to what the future holds.
That's cool. So is it just amplifying what you guys already do, Corey, or is, obviously bigger war chest behind you and things of that nature? Do things change in terms of additional offerings or
more offerings are coming? Correct. More offerings are coming probably within the next 3 months. Expanding our portfolio. If anyone's ever talked to me at any of the conferences, because everyone knows we're a Cylance shop, and whenever anybody asks me, man, I love what you guys do. I wish you would do SentinelOne. I wish you would do this, right? It's like, okay, well, our deliverables are up here, right? I don't want to become where I'm just stagnant and just relying off a syslog and that's all I know about you. Things like configuration and implementation are very important, especially when it comes from the SOC side of the house. And so I want to make sure we maintain those deliverables. And, with where we were at, it just wasn't in the cards at the moment. But obviously now with the backing of SonicWall, the opportunities are endless, and we're looking to hit the ground running.
Cool. Speaking of configuration, Ben, is there any ability to do logs of some of the configurations from Fortify? Is that possible?
Anything's possible.
All right. Well, I have that done by the end of the call. Okay.
Will do.
All right. Any other stuff, Corey or Jim? You want to comment in here, and from a guy that's been through M&A and your perspective on it.
Yeah, it's fine. I just got off the phone with Michael about 30 minutes ago, and congratulated him, and he's obviously very excited. But for a lot of the reasons that Corey just talked about, right? It seems like a perfect fit right now. They get to essentially offer more solutions, do more for the community, and really become the services arm of the SOC as a service, if you will, for SonicWall. That's a massive opportunity. We've been partners with we've been partners with Solutions Granted now for, a year and a half, almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years in December, and it's been fantastic. And we truly see them as partners. We have MSPs that want a SOC as a solution, or a SOC as a service solution, and we always recommend those. SG is one of those ones that we always recommend, and we've got people that move over to them from us to them. So we're just excited because I think this is going to mean also, additional business for SaaS alerts. So it's good all the way around.
Yeah, they have SonicWall as a
perspective. Yeah.
You know, I'm a very competitive person, so I always like to be number one.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
definitely.
Very cool. Andy, you have a question for?
I was just going to remark, I believe that SaaS Alert's going to be channelized through now MSSPs like SonicWall to sell more SaaS Alerts through their channel offering at partner level. So I think this is really good news for SaaS Alerts.
Yeah, one of the things, Andy, that we came to realize started really with Solutions Granted. It's extended now to folks like SpearTip and Blockworks and Highwire. We have another conversation with someone on Monday. So a lot of the SOC as a service solutions essentially have recognized, what we're doing and how we can help, and they're licensing our technology. So it's definitely a great thing. But SG started it all on the SOC side with us. So
Very
super
cool.
excited.
Does it speak to you at all, Jim, about like more from a macro, what might, a move like this? Could we see more of these, product / service type M&A?
Yeah, I think it's across the board. I think that you're going to see combinations like this. We already saw SpearTip get acquired by Zurich. That happened like 2 or 3 months ago, I want to say at this point. So a big insurance carrier, right, that is interested in essentially writing the best cyber insurance policies they possibly can and reducing their losses, buying a security company, right? So I think that this is an opportunity that is really endless for the entire ecosystem.
Yeah,
We're going to see different types of partnerships and integrations and acquisitions based on the massive opportunity that's out there for all of us.
Corey, just one question, and go over to Chip or anyone else before then. Could this be also again like, hey, we're going to start doing we'll build a pen testing arm, we'll build assessment arms. Could other services again come out of something like this? Not putting in a spot like, yes, we will, no, we won't. But is that the type of thing that could spawn out of deep pockets like a company like this?
Correct. It is possible. Correct.
Awesome.
Without getting too much in the weeds.
Appreciate that detailed answer.
Of course. There's many conversations, like I said, expanding what we're currently doing. Obviously, the first focus is on what we've already been doing and significantly growing that. Right?
Yeah.
And then, as you said, other arms of services coming on board.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Last thing I'll say, Jim, is I was with Gary Pica and just talking about like how Kaseya does things, like their ability to their cost of sale, like to Corey's point, right? They'll bring on a company and it'll be a sell-through motion, much, very, very few account manager or outbound reach. It's more through
Cross-sell.
Yeah, cross-sell. It's interesting. I imagine with the probably 10 to 20,000 partners that SonicWall has, probably very similar, Corey, that just the breeze alone will be significant in terms of potential uplift for you guys.
Yeah, when you just look at the economics for a software company, the largest cost is cost of acquisition, acquiring a customer.
Right.
So what you speak about Kaseya. Well, Kaseya realized this happened when I was there. Started down this path where when you acquire another product, that means that you can cross-sell existing customers into that product. To put numbers to it, it costs a software company like Kaseya, for example, between $1.20 and $1.50 for every dollar of ARR, annual recurring revenue, that they bring on a 1-year deal. So basically, for most software companies, the first year is kind of wiped out because that's how much it costs to acquire the customer. So the money isn't made until after, in years 2 and 3. But then when you look at what it costs to sell a new product to an existing customer, it's 10 cents. So you flip the model on its head, and it dramatically changes the economic scenario for a software company.
The reason I wanted to bring this up is, again, because so you're an MSP on the call, you're thinking, so what? For you, Jim, can you give them hey, if you had a time machine and can go back as a CEO of an MSP, how you would do things so differently versus, the all in, you got to have it all now, you got to do it all now, versus what it could be like, what you learned in SaaS companies.
Yeah. So my career now has been in this space 20 years. It's divided up exactly 10 years as MSP and exactly 10 years in the software space supporting MSPs. And I wish I could go back in time and take everything I've learned on the software side and bring it back to my MSP. Because what I would do differently, and some of you may have seen this presentation that I do, it's called the MSP Time Machine, is I would change the way we do sales. It's all about creating less friction in the sales process, right? And when I went out and I did hundreds of sales calls as an MSP, I either walked out with a fully managed agreement, which was awesome, average of $5,000 a month, or I walked out with nothing. Our average close rate was 18 to 20%, which means 80% of the time I was walking out of an office with zero commitment from a customer, zero contract. So what's better about the software space and what I would take back is just getting something in play and building a relationship and then expanding that relationship. We call it, you've all heard it, it's called land and expand. That's the way I would be operating my sales model now if I was an MSP. Of course, I would go in and pitch everything that we do. And of course, I would want to get everything I could get in the first try. But if they're not going to bite, if they have an existing provider in there or internal IT, whatever the case may be, and they're not willing to make that move yet, find something that you can sell to them that starts to build a relationship. And then you can expand that relationship over time. Well, it's one of the reasons why SaaS alerts, right? Why we tell people how to essentially hack our billing system, so to speak.
Yeah, let's not use that word hack. Game the system would be a lot better.
Yeah, game the system, right? We tell people how to game the system because we only bill on your billing date, which means after your bill date, you can prospect as much as you want, which means that you can go to a prospect and say, hey, look, you're happy with what you have today. We appreciate that. But are you doing this around your 365? Do you know what your security score is? Are you actively monitoring? Do you know where everyone's logging in from? Tell you what, we can come in, we can put the software in place. I can come back in 2 or 3 weeks. I'll show you exactly what we found, free of charge. You come back with a fantastic, result. You show them where their holes are, and they're like, you know what? Maybe we're not ready for this full-blown $300 per user managed services contract, but we like what you're doing here. So yeah, we'll pay $3, $4, $5 per user for this piece. Now you're in, now you're developing rapport. Now you have a monthly cadence with them showing them these reports, and bam, now you're in a position to expand that on the long term. So that's just one example. Obviously, I'm biased as the CEO of SaaS Alert, so I bring up that as an example. But there are other examples that you could be using from a product perspective to do that. So that's how I would change it.
Yeah. Does anybody?
And I would be selling more stuff to my existing customers. I would treat my existing customer base like software companies do, which is put as much effort into selling my existing customers as I do prospects. Because I don't think MSPs do that. I know I'm guilty. I did not do that.
Yeah.
And
How about those out there? Anyone take Jim's advice or heard the time machine before and something like this is working?
Andy's got his hand up.
I was going to take this a step further and say, Jim, taking that, there are times of years that particular industries or companies typically have needs. I could talk to healthcare with their annual security audit that needs to be performed and delivered to them for compliance reporting if it hasn't already been done. We could talk about end of year, spend the budget for IT equipment. You could talk about technical debt, right, that they could address. All these things are are relevant and it'd be great to begin to talk about a cadence throughout the year around this, because there are peaks and valleys, right, as far as messaging that goes out and how to piggyback on like a SonicWall buying solutions granted and take that messaging and kind of drive it. That's the only piece I would add to this.
Yeah, no, 100%. There's lots of examples. There's lots of ways to do it, and I agree that looking at those cycles, can be a way in.
Yeah. Chip, I wanted to get your take, if you have one so far on the conversation, and starting out with Corey and what you heard.
Yeah, I mean, Corey, Zach, Michael, those, their team has been great as a partner with us. A lot of the innovation that everyone else has benefited from started in discussions, particularly with Corey, and then following on later with Zach. Our whole relationship with them started at a trade show event where we thought we were competitors, and I just walked up to Corey and Michael at a bar and said, "I don't think so. We got to talk, fellas," and explain what we did. And it just goes to show you that a little bourbon at a trade show can go a long way. But I'm really happy for those guys. I think that's a terrific move. I love the motion forward for them to join with a hardware vendor like SonicWall that's also obviously dedicated into the security space. I think it's a perfect match. So it's great. I love to hear it. So congrats, guys. I'm sure that your days are going to change, going to get lit up a little bit. Corey, who's moving over to the EU?
I don't know that yet, so I'll be going over there to help set up a SOC over there as well. I mean, that's some of the short-term focuses right now is expanding the global focus, because obviously SonicWall already has a global focus. So, expanding over there to the EMA type solutions, and then we're going to be integrating more AI solutions around our SOC as well to help kind of with the efficiencies, because obviously with the growth we have to make sure that we can keep up. But I don't think all of our teams remaining intact here in the United States. So I might be over in the EU for a little while, getting everything set up properly and taking it from there.
Sounds like the Marines are invading Europe.
Hey, let's go.
That's great news. Really happy for you guys, and I'm looking forward to where it takes all of us.
Yeah.
So Chip, is Death's End the big story of your initial conversation with Solutions Granted?
No, well, I don't know how many people on this call are sci-fi fans, but that's part of a trilogy.
Okay.
By a guy named Sixan Lee, a Chinese author. Starts out with a book called The Three Body Problem. So if you're a math geek, you probably will recognize what the three body problem is. If you're into sci-fi reading, I highly recommend the series. It's fantastic. It's really good.
Good stuff. All right, Jim, I think starting with you, I have on my PowerPoint, which I'll bring up shortly, but your take on IT Nation, I think you had a few thoughts or comments you wanted to share.
Yeah, I just wanted to, thank the folks that came up to us at IT Nation from this call. It was great to see some folks, some existing partners. It was actually a really great event for us. So when you're at events, you see us, love to say hi. I see Gary on my screen, saw him and a bunch of other folks. So I also wanted to, mention the comment that Mr. Holcomb from Mighty Manatee had for me. So he came up to the booth and, he's like, I'm already a partner. I'm like, yeah, I know. He's like, I just want to say that outside of having a great product and a great platform, I love the company and the community that you guys are building. It's the sassy calls, it's the educational pieces. He goes, that's really what is separating you guys from other vendors right now. So as a co-founder, I can say that, certainly appreciate comments like that and all of you that help us build this community together. I mean, this is a total team effort. And so I just want to take the opportunity to reiterate that statement and thank everybody in this call for helping us build this community.
Really good, really cool that you got to hear that stuff, Jim. I am curious, Jim, just real quick about the whole RPA frenzy going on, and all the announcements. Do you have any thoughts on that? With is it again announce and not have something? It's interesting how big companies approach this market.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of going to stay away from that one.
Okay.
For right now.
Yeah, no worries. All right. So let's go to Michelle and talk about Forti-Fest. I'm going to bring this up here. And let me somehow.
It's there. Yeah, just need to go into presentation mode, I think.
I know, I'm trying to find that, and why.
Slideshow.
Go all the way. You can go all the way down too, and you can see the little icon.
There you go. That one. Nope. That one.
That one.
There we go.
There we go.
All right.
Okay. So Michelle and I, we're going to tag team this. She's going to end up announcing the winners, but most of you that have been following know that October was Forti-Fest month for SaaS alerts, with the idea of let's get as many people engaged in Fortify, and then we created obviously a contest around it. So we have 3 winners. Michelle, do you want to announce before we announce the actual winners what these winners are getting?
Sure. So each winner will get $500 for their MSP, or however they choose to divide up that money, and $500 to the food bank of their choice.
Exactly. Being Thanksgiving time, we wanted to make sure that we were also contributing to food banks in their home community. So
that's really cool.
Thanks. So with that, I know everyone is anxiously awaiting the winner.
Michelle?
So
Hey, Michelle.
Yes.
Hey, this is Jason with SPP. We'll match that $500 for whoever wins for whatever food bank they choose.
Wow,
That's
Jason.
amazing.
Wow.
Wow.
Thank you. That's
so
generous.
much.
thank you, Jason. That's awesome.
That's great. All right.
Yeah. You guys have been great to us. No reason why not. Thanks.
I owe you a shirt.
Awesome. Thank you. So it's just another great example of how awesome this community is. So Michelle, the first category is the highest percentage of connected clients. So the winner for that category is?
That would be one MSP. And I know Enrique's here, or I saw Enrique come in. I think he's still here. I hope he's here.
Yes. So Enrique, congratulations for having the highest percentage of connected clients on Fortify. So you want to say anything? Enrique? Are you there?
He's here.
He's here. You might be on mute.
It's on the phone.
Okay. So Chip, you want to tell the story about Enrique's MSP and what they did with one of their customers?
Yeah, I would love to, but I think we announced Enrique in the wrong category, actually. He's the next category. He's the highest percentage change.
Oh, he is? Oh,
Yep.
yeah. I think we're out of order. Whoops.
Yep, we got out of order.
All right, hold on, because I'm so.
There we go.
yeah.
That's the first one.
That's that. Well, okay. Let's go. Let's finish with Enrique. And then we'll
No, go to the middle one.
Okay.
So this is Enrique. So this category was about finding the partner who had the largest percentage change anywhere across their client base in a secure score. And one of Enrique's clients went from a starting secure score of 1.35% to 72.2%. So that was the biggest delta across the entire ecosystem of over 5,000 connected Microsoft 365 tenants. So congrats, Enrique. Got in there and got your hands dirty, literally with Forti-Fest right out of the gate, and really made a big impact for many of your clients. But that biggest delta was from 1.35 to 72.2. Impressive.
That is really impressive. And there's a lot of you out there. I don't know if you've got customers that have 1.3 security scores, but you can see obviously the power of how much you can increase that. So if you're not in Forti-Fest now, it's definitely a good reason to be in it. So Enrique, again, congratulations for that. Congratulations to the $500. And now, because of Jason, the $1,000 that will go to the food bank of your choice. Okay, so next category.
Do you want to go to this one or this one?
The highest percentage of connected clients. Let's do that one.
All right.
Okay. So the highest percentage of connected clients, Michelle, the winner is?
This is a newcomer for us. It's Cloud Scale 365. I don't know if we have anyone from their team joining us today.
Hey, anyone here, Michelle?
I'm not sure.
So if you're from Cloud Scale, you want to say something, you've got 3 seconds to jump in. Okay, well, congratulations to Cloud Scale 365. We met them at DattoCon, Andrew, and they like immediately signed up and for like 20,000 users.
That was DattoCon was just a few weeks ago, Jim.
I know. It was the first week in October. So that's how fast some people want to move on this stuff.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So congrats to Cloud Scale. Okay. Up next.
Oops. Let's go.
Back to the top. There you go.
Yeah. The first partner to reach a secure score of 100. Not easy to do. So Michelle, who is a winner?
Well, it's a very big day for them today. It is Solutions Granted.
Wow. Corey, congratulations.
Thank
I
you.
know you're here.
Yep.
And Zach, he drives a lot of that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that was their internal, Jim?
No,
No,
I think this is
the first partner reach to have any of their customer entities that they're managing through Forti-Fest reach a secure score of 100%.
Got it.
yeah.
Which is not easy to do at all. I mean, you've got to be really good at both upselling licensing, but also, explaining to your customer entity, your end users, that some of the inconveniences that are going to get introduced, because there are inconveniences that come along with loading everything up that Microsoft recommends and that CIS recommends. It changes the way people do business. But having the capacity to explain the value of that, is the key. And so great job, guys. I'm very impressive. I don't know who the sales engineer was on that, but it must have been some work.
No, thank you. I give all credit to Zach. I mean, he is, with all onboarding calls, heavily promoting Forti-Fest and explaining the purposes of it, walking everyone through it step by step, explaining how to make the changes. And a lot of our partner community is, really excited by the feature.
Awesome.
And just so everyone knows, this was not a setup for Solutions Granted. We didn't have a preview on this announcement today, or at least I didn't. And I put together the stats yesterday. So,
and this, by the way, this announcement officially makes the Sonic Wall announcement.
Hey, I'll take it.
It's the Sonic Wall thing has now kind of become secondary.
I got you.
Jim, I think, for the food bank thing, there should be some kind of percentage where Corey gives an equal amount percentage-wise over to the food bank of choice.
Well, guys, actually, Chad Holstead also said he'll do $200 if anyone wants to match him as well. So we have a very generous group of partners here. You guys are amazing.
Yes. It is awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Chad.
You did the perfect thing. You get a bunch of type A guys on a call and somebody, and then you
Right.
throw out the hammer. Watch what happens, right?
Yeah.
It'll grow quickly.
Good.
Well, Jason, Chad, thank you very much.
I'm in for the other. I'll match the 200. I'm in.
I told you.
Wow.
Nice.
Wow, guys, that's great.
Yeah. Just again, emphasizes what an awesome community we have. So,
Great stuff.
Andrew, one of the best decisions we made, I think, was to create, to bring you on and create the Saa y MSP community. So,
Thanks, Jim. I agree. That was very kind of you. Thank you. It's good. It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Before we go into the next segment, I have an idea or two that I want to talk about today. Any questions for Chip on product that you guys might have before we move on, or the team in general? Any hands going on?
Yeah,
I got
go ahead.
Good,
a
Jason.
quick question. Somebody else will speak at the same time, but we've got folks like Artiga's been around, but we got folks like Huntress, and seems like everybody under the sun kind of building a plug-in, and obviously everybody has different features, but I don't think anybody has what Respond has, at least that I know of. So it'd be good to have some mainline battle cards as these guys come on board and start to market heavily, because it's important for us to have those mainline battle cards for our MSP clients, and I'm sure other folks would like to have them as well. Thanks.
I think it's a good point, Jim. In fact, I don't know if you saw, they're starting to put out some of the companies that were now that Jason's sharing. They're starting to put out wins around things like that. Corey, did you have a comment there?
No, I mean, I could speak to it as well if you'd like me to, but yes, I mean, they have great marketing, and you're going to see their wins all over the place. But just keep in mind the maturity of the SaaS Alerts offering. It's going to be hard to catch up to. I've had this conversation many, many times.
It's over and over and over again, right, Clay?
Especially in IT Connect, because it's, and it's not just them. It's something like a Sophos, right, where it's like, okay, you have this all-encompassing ecosystem, and that's hard to beat, right? But then there's something to be said for granularity, right? The best tool for the job, and so that's what it's going to end up coming down to. Now, I wouldn't post anything on Reddit because, as I've always said, Huntress owns the whole Reddit forum, it feels like nowadays, on the MSP side. But,
yeah, I think their employees are mods. At least that's my understanding in Reddit. Yeah. I get downvoted the minute I touch anything. So lots of other do it.
Yeah. What's Reddit?
What's Reddit? That's a conversation for a non-recorded webinar.
Yeah, I'm just kidding, Corey. I know what it is.
Yeah, but they obviously started without, they required premium licensing. Then they've kind of backshifted now, and now they just released that it can be free licensing as well. So that adds more conversation maybe to your customers or partners that you're dealing with. But in the end, what I've explained to a lot of my partners and prospective partners is, it's great that they're creating their own ecosystem. They're trying to be a jack of all trades. Will that outscore something like the maturity of SaaS Alerts, that this is all they do, and the amount of features and the amount of development that's involved with this? Subjective, but my opinion is no. They won't be able to come close.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate that endorsement, not necessarily of the business, but of our philosophy, which is to stay in our lane and go as deep as possible. In the SaaS space, when we got into this, that was the mission. There were companies like Huntress that were out there that we had plenty of respect for what they do on the device side and on the EDR side for the physical layer. That's not where we want to play.
And let's be clear, right? I think, for a guy that talks MSPs all day, every day, there are certain vendors that don't have any problem whatsoever kicking you guys in the tail. So be nice, right? But don't be too nice, right? We need some competitive landscape material. And at the same time, right now, all I do is tell them, look, nobody else has responded. From a BEC blocking perspective, right? I think we're up to 11 BECs that we've confirmed have been just wholesale blocked by the quick actions of SaaS alerts. That nothing else would have been able to block until a human saw it or a SOC responded. And by that time, usually there's quite a bit of data gone. So capitalize on those stories, on those respond, and be a little more forward leaning. That's one of the things that Hunters is really good at, is being very, very aggressive on the marketing, very aggressive on the storyline. And look, we've been with you guys only a few months, and we're in almost 5,000 licenses. So it's not a difficult thing to close, but it could be a difficult thing to keep if we don't stay leaning forward.
Yep. Totally agree, Jason. Thanks for those comments.
We're sorry, Andy, I see your hand up. I'll wait for a second. Andy, you want to jump in?
I was just going to say, there are two things that came up out of this discussion that would be helpful, I think, as a whole for the general community. One would be, you guys have Forti-Fest mapping compliance to mapping requirements to a particular compliance. Taking that a step further to say, this is the licensing, because you say this is the licensing required for this particular piece, mapping that to a compliance framework, and then saying, hey, this has value because of this element, driving that back through the community, because that's what we're doing internally right now, is saying, what are the licensings to accomplish a security score, and what do we have to tell our customers? Hey, today this was good enough. Last year, this is how things have changed over the year. You need to modify this. Having that kind of reference material available from SaaS alerts would be awesome. To have it tie, this compliance require this particular compliance requires this statement in Forti-Fest requires this licensing mode. This is the minimum, right? And secondly, around alerts and response, if you're seeing really high activity on particular types of alerts, to say, by the way, this respond rule really is great, and this is how we can enhance, and this gives us the highest rate of return, like BEC compromise, right? And what are those alerts typically look like? It's logging in out of country. It could be a number of things, but being able to help ingest SaaS alerts and its capabilities and then translate that back out to customers would be helpful too.
Okay.
So, and yeah, let me respond to a couple things there. The first is that I'd like to have you and maybe a few others spend a little bit of time with our reports product team, because we've created that reporting around additional licensing and its capabilities already. It sounds like either we haven't done it well enough, or maybe there's a misunderstanding of how it's used, but you're looking to see it formatted in a different way so it's more digestible to your customer, because we do carry all that information in Forti-Fest, including right in the main Forti-Fest UI. If you want to seek, if you don't have the correct licensing to engage a particular policy recommendation, it tells you that right in the UI, what the other licensing that's necessary.
I'm thinking of all licensing related to a particular standard, right? Okay.
Yeah. I saw a comment from Rich Kennedy about the 11 BEC detection should be the case study notes. I think we've done some case studies on this, or at least testimonials from partners. But Jason's experience is reflective of the wider group of MSPs and the number of accounts we're managing today. It's pushing 900 MSPs and 2 million accounts, and we see hundreds of BECs blocked a week at this point. And this is all based off the rules that really started. I think Ben may have been the first one to create it before he joined SaaS Alerts, notching together several different events into a single indicator of compromise. For those people who use the Unify side of SaaS Alerts as well, where we tie in the RMM data, that's what adds the extra layer of surety that you really have, a certainty beyond any reasonable doubt that you've got an account compromise that just occurred. And then we get in there and shut it down, as Jason pointed out, before there's any data exfiltration that can take place. So if you haven't experimented with connecting your RMM up through Unify, I would highly recommend you do that, because it allows you to have very, very granular confidence that you have a compromise. And, we all fight the battle of signal to noise, right? It's always part of what we have to deal with all the information that we're thrown at, or that's thrown at us. And that combination of Respond and Unify together lets you get that signal to noise ratio super finely tuned and give you really exactly what you're looking for on the spot compromise shutdown.
Yeah, exactly. Amy, do you want to, from a marketing perspective, chime in?
I did. We have a lot of this data, and we've been compiling it, at least from a battle card perspective, and I'm happy to share it. What my ask is a digital format, and by digital I don't mean a PDF. I mean something like some sort of web page, easily digestible by your customers instead of a PDF. And I ask that because as some of these other competing tools come out with new features, it will make it more difficult for us to update a PDF and recirculate that. Whereas if we have a live link that you're able to share out, we can update it on the fly. We want to make sure that the information is always 100% accurate. So if we say today that, say, Huntress doesn't do something, but in 6 weeks they do, and that PDF is out circulating, of course, we'll put disclaimers on it saying that it's accurate as of this date. But it does help if it's something that's a living document that regardless of when somebody visits the page, it's always showing what we know is the most accurate data.
So you could have like a status page that says these are some of the key things, and we could reference that back from our own landing pages as
potentially, yeah. I mean, I got to think through the logistics of it, but before we went and built a bunch of PDFs that were outdated in 6 months, and get out there, and I never want anyone to think that we're circulating bad information if somebody doesn't notice a date on it. So if I just wanted to throw it out there, if that's something that is an option, and we'll start working towards something like that.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Anybody else have? So Jason, you kicked it off with just battle cards. Anybody else on product? No? Okay. Well, it's interesting where this took a quick turn here into, talking about BEC, which often it does. And Corey, you can certainly feel free to chime in here. What I didn't, by the way, did anybody from last week do anything with the revenue cycle conversations with your clients? Did anybody take that anywhere yet? Let me just share my screen. Jim, I don't think there's any takers on that.
Doesn't seem to be.
Okay. So, okay. So I just wanted to kind of so I had an in the news kind of,
Dude, that's huge right there.
What's that, bud?
I'm sorry, I thought I was muted. I'm so sorry. I said that's very big right now. That's the in vogue situation that we're seeing right now. So
yeah, there's a few things going on. I mean, first off, it's really fascinating. I'm not sure if you guys have read about this. Again, Corey, feel free, because I know you guys have a threat team out, on your side. But this is interesting that browser-based attacks now are, rivaling in terms of a TTP inbox, right? Phishing. By the way, Corey, are you seeing any of this in your SOC, by the way, before I move on?
Not as heavily as I'm seeing as it's being reported. I mean, I mean, I've seen a huge uptick in phishing emails. Phishing emails have always been around, but we've just been dealing with phishing, people falling for it, people clicking the MFA button on their phone, because I feel like it's at least 3 times a day. We've been dealing with this for the past, I'd say, 4 weeks. It's a huge ramp up.
Well, when we get momentarily, I'm gonna leave this one in a minute and go to the Kroll Q3 report, because it's interesting about what you just said. But I did want to note, again, this is our friends Black Hat response. Corey, you were at Red Boom last year. This was our threat actor du jour. We have a threat brief. If anybody wants it, we built an entire threat brief around Black Hat. But what I find fascinating from what Black Hat is doing is, I'm going to jump from this, that, this was what we found in our threat brief last year when we did, this was right a boom just in early February, right? We already had 34, attacks through MSPs. I'm going to come back to this SEC one, and I just want to jump to the Kroll Q3 report, because I find this pretty interesting. So obviously this falls right in line with what you're saying, Corey, and what I think SaaS Alert sees on over and over is SaaS, social engineering taking front stage as the main attack du jour. But look at in terms of targeting, again, Black Hat being called out as like really the threat actor that is, and their affiliates, right? Just doing utter destruction. And look who they're targeting. And I find this interesting because I had a personal experience about this, and then I'd love anybody else to chime in here. So when I think professional services, I think MSPs. I don't know about you, Jim and Corey, but that's where my mind goes right away. So the other day, if we know the MGM, right, was a smishing, it's, hey, I'm the help desk, right? And the other day, I was on a call, Jim, and my iPhone lights up and it's Apple calling me. And I'm like, I hit,
Accept.
Then I hit decline.
Oh, okay.
I was on a call, but then it being persistent. So I told the person, like, hey, if Apple's calling me over and over, I'm going to take this call.
Right.
So the person speaks perfect English, goes into, hey, so we've noticed some, that your account has had some, strange, inactive behavior, and it's being set for deletion. Sometimes this is random and out of character, but we'd like you to, go to a URL and, make sure that that doesn't get deleted. So I said, hey, how about this? I said, first off, if this is Apple's policy, which I highly doubt it is, it needs to be changed. So how about you give me your phone number and I'll call back, and a case number. So they gave me Apple's phone number because I called the guy to the task, and the case number when I called back was obviously illegit. But what I do want to bring up is their ability to, when they're doing smishing, Corey, how they're spoofing actual phones, that it was Apple, but, and I'd like you to take the floor here, Corey, from a threat side, that as MSPs, we have to think about this. Gary Harlem said this, like, hey, I never thought about how I need to educate my customers that this may not be my company calling you, right? And, the last thing I'll say is, after our call last week, it made me think, man, if you're an MSP and you have testimonials on your site, you really need to rethink that, because if I'm a threat actor today, that is just chum, right? Like I can just go, hey, solutions granted. I noticed your, so Corey, thoughts on this as we're seeing this play out more and more?
No, 100%. I can go back as far as last summer, heavy impersonations of Michael, our CEO, where even a brand new employee, he wasn't here more than a week, was already getting text messages from someone impersonating to be Michael. It was the typical, I'm in a meeting, I need you to go get Google gift cards, but using texting. I explained to everyone I can talk to, if I decide to ever go on the dark side, I'd be targeting smishing more than I would phishing.
Yeah.
Because it is ingrained in us already. Any employee, be careful on your phone, be careful on your computer, be careful on your email, right? It's just ingrained in us, but no one ever really talks about these devices. And think about what's on these devices. I mean, this is the honeypot for me. Everyone's starting more and more uptick in MFA, right? Where's that located? It's located on your phone. Where's your bank account information? It's on your phone. As I saw in chat, everyone's getting a lot of these text messages around, I'm sure everyone gets we have one of your packages in the warehouse. I get those probably twice a week. I shouldn't, but I reply to them. I like having fun with these people every now and then.
Right.
But, this is where one, education, and two, having some type of offering or service around monitoring your phones. Everyone's a target, but you also have to start considering your specific targets in an organization. I could tell you it was an amazing day when I finally got Michael, this is many years ago, to relinquish all admin rights in our environment. Right. So if he is targeted, he's the most likely target next to our CFO. If someone compromises Michael, there's not much they can do with that information because he doesn't have much access to anything. Right.
Yeah, we started out with Jim that way. He has access to nothing.
Exactly. And that's why it's as you said, it's never good to put your testimonials. I don't like having bios on a website, talking about, oh, Corey loves fishing in Minnesota and his dog's name's Pluto, right? You shouldn't have any of that type of information on your website or available to anybody. They're going to be going through your Facebooks. That's another thing. Even during a hiring process, I kind of want to see if this person is really security driven. Is their Facebook wide open? Is all of their personal information out there to the world, or are they security conscious enough to lock down a social media platform like that? Right. So this is your Facebooks, your Instagrams, your LinkedIn even. I mean, LinkedIn is obviously the social media environment for the corporate world, and adversaries are using that. It was many years ago, and I can't remember. I have to go find the video again, but it was Cisco who put out a really, really great video that shows the anatomy of an attack, where that hacker went through the LinkedIn, impersonated someone, sent out the email, got all the information, was able to receive an email from a salesperson, saw what the signatures look like, was able to duplicate that, right? And so we have to be very conscious on this stuff.
Corey, I mean, would it also, when we did a cyber call and had the principal author of the Verizon data breach report on, Philip Langlois, and he, he said, so what's new? Where are we thinking ahead here? And he goes, it's kind of disheartening. It's the same old that's really getting everybody. And the LinkedIn scenario you just talked about was MGM to the T. But what I do want to bring up, at least before the end of today, is just thoughts from guys like you and Chip, and obviously the MSPs, to Gary's point last week, because I know you guys weren't on. But Gary, have you given any further thought about how, you might address, training your customers that, hey, this is how, our MSP interacts with you? Because I could see, as we see this uptick in professional services, I can foresee this is going to be like literally a treasure trove for those threat actors impersonating MSPs.
Yeah, so timing was good. Talked to a bunch of the vendors last week at IT Nation. CyberCQ, formerly known as QuickPass, has their QDesk identity verification, which you could really use in a bi-directional manner. So it is really intended for if a client calls in,
correct,
for something sensitive, I could push a code to their phone or their app or their email, whatever it is, and do that. And in talking with the rep, I happened to be yesterday, I asked that question about the reverse, which is, hey, if we call them, how are people doing? And he said, you can do the same thing. Have the client say, hey, can you push a code to my phone, please, so I know it's you? Or do something knowledgeable. Some of our other peer group members have a protocol, a send me an email or send me a text message. Most people have cell phone numbers, doing something definitive, but educating the customer to ask the question for a positive verification so they can know it's us.
Yeah, do we really, Corey, have to get to almost like this is wire transfer to that degree? Maybe not to that, detail, but we can't just say, oh, it's Corey from the help desk. Sure, I'll do whatever you say.
Well, but Andrew, it depends on the request. If it's
fair,
if you're asking for anything that's confidential, absolutely.
Yeah. No, fair. But what I'm saying is, if we don't start training them, Gary,
Mm-hmm.
versus just tech, because again, remember, it's all, if you look at a CMM model, right, a maturity model, technology is the easy part, cyber QP or whatever technology. But I think, Corey, if you could, as a security technician here, talk about, you have to have the people and process piece for this all to work as well.
100%. You have to have the customers buy-in. If you make it too difficult by just throwing technology at it, it can potentially fail. Bad. Because unfortunately, MSP's customers hard to adopt, hard to adopt new technologies. They don't want to take those extra steps. They don't see a purpose in it until, it hit the fan, for lack of better words.
Right. Fair.
Hey, Andrew.
Yes.
It's amazing what I get out of these meetings, and sometimes I've absolutely nothing to do directly with SaaS alerts, but that article you put up is not commonly, that site's not commonly read by a lot of folks. And how you find this stuff, I think you should put a list out that people can pull into. But anyway, we dealt with 3 ransomware cases in the last 90 days of small VoIP providers, and when we looked at what the threat actors were doing, they weren't there to exfiltrate data and to compromise in a traditional form. They were utilizing their back-end systems for, caller ID reclassification, and so we could detect everything they were doing, but they were clearly using that VoIP provider to do some downstream fraud control. And the last thing that I'll add to that is, I had a demo from a company that's coming to the channel where, 2 15-second conversations, within about 20 minutes after that, they perfectly mirrored my voice, my inflection, my tone, my delays in conversation, and they could make me say whatever the hell they wanted me to, right? So I think if we don't have these controls in place exactly like you're talking about, it's going to get bad really quick, particularly for the finance groups and the C-suite folks who may depend upon recognizing the person on the other end, the second factor of verification, right?
Good stuff. Absolutely. Anybody else starting to have those type of conversations, educating your customers on how we as our MSP interacts with you? No? Okay. Last thing I'll just share real quick here. Again, this, I don't know, anybody see this? I don't know if Chip's still on or Jim's still on, but this is really fascinating. I found that this has to do with SolarWinds. Granted, they're a public company, and granted, what you're reading here is about public companies, but I did want to talk about this briefly because I think this is a precursor. And the precursor is that you're already seeing, if you look at the language, they're saying, well, not only public companies, but then companies dealing in the DIB. And I think this can go to the extent of sorry, where I was taking this is, and again, maybe Corey, since the other folks have jumped off.
No, I'm still with you, Andrew.
Oh, okay. Chip, maybe, here's what I'm curious about, does this eventually, if you're they're already saying, hey, we know so many in the, with 800.171 have misrepresented really what they're doing, right? That's going to come to roost. But do you feel this could also start to be, in the SMB space with cyber insurance, we're going to start to see precedent coming down. Corey, I see you shaking your head. So any comment, but then Chip, maybe close us out.
Yeah, I mean, the underwritings are getting more and more. Validations are becoming more relevant. On a positive side, more cyber insurance companies are looking at security solution vendors and offering MSPs a discount, right, or companies a discount. Hey, if you use this company's solutions, we've already vetted it, we're already aware of it, you get X amount of % off. So that's great because that also, not only good for business for service providers, but it's good for just validation and someone's not just checking a checkbox, because we see it all too often. I think the last Write a Boom gave a big eye-opening. It was the first time I really heard a lot of MSPs concerned and talking about CIS controls. and looking at what they're currently doing and mapping to those compliances so they can really find out what's their gaps.
So Chip and I were just on a conversation with an insurance company today about this exact topic.
Yep.
So, can you talk and close this out, maybe Chip, though? What the other part I took away from this, though, is the leaders being held accountable. Obviously, with SolarWinds, it's the CISO that's going to take the fall. But I can also see, you know, I as MSPs, I think we as owners have to start thinking about our responsibility and governance. And, you know, if you know, a lot of times I talk to the bigger MSPs and they abdicate, oh, it's my security team's taking care of that. And if there's a hit to that, you know, let's just say, you know, 5-10 of their customers get ransomed through an RMM. Chip, do you think the COOs might be held accountable?
Certainly at the public company level, and even at the, you know, in a private organization, and the MSP who is in charge of setting policies for their customers, they definitely have, you know, they're in the crosshairs of downstream liability. You can't misrepresent anything on an insurance form. And if you do, and something happens, then you've got to be able to, you know, you have to be able to prove and demonstrate that you did what you say you did. It's mostly an honor system, right? You don't typically have, it's not like getting life insurance where you have a physical exam beforehand. Somebody isn't coming out and doing a pre-inspection, you know, and sending out an underwriter to do a pre-inspection, because it doesn't work in the economic model. So you have lots of tiers here in insurance. You have the broker, you have the initial underwriter, you have reinsurance underwriters, and they're all waking up to the fact that they can't look at this just as actuarial science like they do every other kind of insurance. You know, cyber insurance has gone through its own cycle. We just had a call on this yesterday with a different group that COVID kind of woke everybody up to the fact that there's a disbursement of workers and a lot more risk. Cyber insurers started to get hit with more and more policy claims, and they're coming out of that with an awareness that they have to change the way they're evaluating the security posture management and the alert and response capability all the way down to the end user. So it becomes very important, and you've got to be able to represent and prove in the event of an incident that you've done everything that you say you can do. So unfortunately for all of us in the MSP world, for all of you guys that are MSPs or MSSPs or SOCs, you know, that proof is in the pudding, having the log data to demonstrate that you've got all the forensic that led up to a compromise and what happened and what you did about it. And now what you did about it to prevent it on the front side. What did you do with configuration management on the front end? So you just basically can't get caught lying. You got to have the proof.
Okay. Good stuff.
So I know, Andrew, we're over. I just want to, again, congratulate all our winners, and also thank Jason, Chad, Gary for your charity, your generous gifts. And matches.
Who you guys chose.
Yeah, let us know how to send that in.
Okay, yeah, Michelle will be in touch with you on that.
I didn't see Gary's, so I'm going to need to touch base with you on that, Gary.
Okay, so Michelle will be in touch on those logistics. Again, thank you all. Appreciate you. And we're not going to, obviously, unless people want to join for next week's Thanksgiving, we're off for a week. So we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Have a great holiday.
Happy Thanksgiving.